Hey y'all, it's Maritime in America again, a podcast where we're charting America's offshore stories. It's the only podcast that highlights mariners' perspectives on issues facing the offshore community and the greater U.S. maritime community. I'm your host, Aaron Smith of the Offshore Marine Service Association. Each Friday, I'll bring you the Offshore Briefing, a quick rundown of the week's notable developments, updates, and news you need to know in the offshore space. In addition, we'll feature a special guest from the maritime world, bringing a mariner's voice and real-world perspectives straight to the show. Joining me are my co-hosts, Ashley and Angel, where we'll strengthen the maritime American mariner's voice by diving into the people, policies, and powerful currents shaping the U.S. maritime community. Whether you're on deck or at your desk, we're glad you're here.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Maritime in America. We are so glad, we're kind of getting set up in our new studio, ? I don't know if we want to call this a studio. We have at least have a new location. We're not going to be in the floating box squares here, at least when we can do it in person. So
I think this is our first time recording like this. It is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I'm glad to try it out on you.
Yeah. And awesome. And as whenever we need a guinea pig, we can always count on Garrett Rice, president of Master Boat. I'll probably say you're buying me lunch after this.
No. It was you buying that stuff. You're lucky I'm not that hungry. So,
good. Well, Garrett, welcome. Thank you so much. Introduce yourself to the audience. My name is Garrett Rice. I'm the president of Master Boat Builders. I'm a family-owned shipyard in Coden, Alabama, which is 2 hours to the west of here and not in Louisiana.
Lucky you.
Your demise.
No, lucky you.
We have, I think, the one place I see you besides working is at Tiger Stadium. It was a 5 or 6 years in a row, and Tiger Stadium was, and every time you were coming down the turnstile, pissed off at the world, and I was leaving, not pissed off.
Yeah,
and multiple years in a row.
Yeah, it really was. It was a lot of fun. But I think the tides will turn. No pun intended.
Oh wow! Good Gosh,
yeah. I know, and my brain's not all there today, and I even got that.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Why don't you tell everyone how you got into this industry? Yeah, so my dad started a business in 1979. So he was in the seafood business before that, and his father were. And a lot of people building boats in Battle Factory, and so they jumped into that. And then about the time they want to start doing that, Hurricane Fred moved through, kind of messed up the seafood shop, which was on the property we're on right now still. And decided to go into shipbuilding full time. So they started in together, and then they were building shrimp boats, and then moved to supply boats and utility boats, and factory shrimping vessels and fishing vessels, and really any kind of steel hull work, but it was the basis of it. On the smaller side, from 80 feet to 140 feet in that time frame. And as things progressed, and took small steps over time, they started building supply boats, and then from 145 feet to 160, 180, 190, DP1, DP2, all ADS class, and it slowly grew with the market as the market grew in the Gulf. So the company started there. Personally, I grew up in the business, and every summer from the age I probably shouldn't say on a podcast, I was in the yard. But
always supervised with the hard hat and steel toed
full PPE. That's right. Yeah. But Dad would knock on the door, I'm going to work, and a lot like any other shipyard in the Gulf Coast, family-owned yards, we grew up in this. But I did kind of move out of it for a couple of years, went to Stanford University and got an accounting degree there. And after that, I went and worked in Birmingham. I sold valves and did valve automation for a couple of years, and then went back to Stanford and worked in the athletics department there, doing fundraising and business with the athletics department while my wife was finishing pharmacy school. So she was in pharmacy school there, and I don't know if I've ever told them the story.
No, I'm thinking I didn't know that.
Let's bring it home here. Dad called me, it's the fall of 2010, from Newton, May 2011. It's the fall of 2010, he calls and says, it was October, and says, hey, you want to come back and work for me? I say, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking about what I'm doing. Medical sales, all those other things I'm thinking about, living my life. And I said, maybe I'll pay you this much a week, whatever it is. And I said, he said, why don't you think about it? And he said, why don't you come down next week? I said, let's go down to an OMSA meeting in New Orleans. And so I drove home one afternoon, and the next morning got in the car with him and came to one of the fall meetings, an OMSA meeting.
Which was probably terrible because it's pre-named.
Actually, it was really good. It was, but it was back when we did it was 2010. So the old shelf,
the
old business.
It'll be the committee meetings with the general meetings.
The big general meetings. So it was all the committee meetings. And so I sat in my first experience to real shipyard business and real work was at an OMSA meeting in 2010. And these, at the time, terribly boring regulatory OMSA committee meetings. We had dense fast. It was real fast, but we had learned that if you weren't in those meetings, the regulations were changing so much. Down in this pre-Sub-L, or right there on Sub-L came into play. Maybe it was just before OS, it's all kind of OP 90, it's all kind of rules that happen, right? That were changing regularly. And that's where we got information. And so we would go and we wouldn't miss one because something may come up that we need to know about from ABS or from Coast Guard. And that's where the information being passed on. So anyway, that was my first experience to it was to come and spend a couple of days with him at the yard. And the point was, let's go see the industry. Let's go you go see what it's about and experience it yourself. And I was at an OMSA meeting, so near to my heart.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, so, and those people outside the industry that hear that Ashley and I work together are always so amazed by that. But, it's nothing special when you look at our board and when you look at the industry. Working with family is nothing unusual.
It's not easy all the time. However, it just kind of is what it is. Ask Angel.
No, I can't imagine. There's no, her office is in between. So
we put her in between us so she can tell mom and dad stop fighting.
So I came to work with Dad, and he was at the time I didn't know really what I was going to be doing. And so I followed him around and kind of learned what he did. Then got into helping accounting. He got the project manager. Really, he was awesome to let me kind of figure out where I fit in, what I need to do. And so we were a small family business. And so a couple of the families had sons involved and really open door policies rather. Like Andre DeBrock, who's a genius naval architect for us, or engineer for us, figured out tonnage rules better than anybody in the world. If I wanted to sit in a meeting with vendors, whatever it is, I'm just going to sit in there and welcome it. Right? And so I was able to learn and absorb a lot just by not having closed door meetings. It's just anybody and everybody come figure it out and learn it yourself. Mouth shut, but listen, which is hard for me at times. So anyway, got into that. And then over time, more responsibility. Titles didn't mean much to us ever really. So we had titles, but CFO, whatever it was, it didn't. We were small enough at the time that we were all turned wearing their hats. So he retired, in 2019. He told me 2 years prior to that, Garrett, we're retiring December 31st, 2019. Whatever. But And then January 2nd, he out of his office, packed his stuff up.
Good for him.
Moved into my office, and I moved into his office. That was December 31st, right? On January 2nd, he was at his desk in my old office. Come back to work. I said, I thought you were retiring. He said, well, I didn't do today, so I came to work. Right? So that's kind of the path the last 5 tracks. Exactly. The last 5 or 6 years, that's kind of where he's been still involved. I still be with him day to day to figure out what the advice, what direction to go. He still comes in on Thursday. He likes to sign checks, to sign payroll checks and stir things up. He's in there. He was there 2 days a week, and that was maybe a little much for me. But now he's there 1 day a week for sure. And as things progress, we changed a lot in the last 4 or 5 years. I've done a whole lot of process and procedures and kind of changed the way the business is run day to day. Honestly, people in the yard, guys that have been doing it a long time, didn't maybe not appreciate some of these changes that affect their lives. And so they'd see him walk in the yard. Michael, what the hell's Garrett doing up there? He's doing this. And he said, I don't know why you're talking to me. I said, don't talk to me. You're talking about it. He's in charge, which was a huge blessing. That's to have that confidence in whatever we do, he's has my back and has my back all the way. So anyway, that's where we're at today.
And you and your dad, because I've met him a few times, are, to me at least, have different personalities. He is more reserved. Absolutely. You can tell he's always thinking. But he won't, and he has something to say, but he won't necessarily say it in front of people. He has said something to me after a meeting or after, and it's thoughtful and whatever.
He's not.
And you're more shake the hands in your.
I'm more outgoing than he is. Now he's very
that's a very good combination there.
But he's not one going to put himself out there. Our business model forever, his model was put your head down, do your work. Get it done, make a good living for you and your family and employees, and then go to the next thing. No people have anything, no real fanfare about anything he does. And that's great. And I still like to have the same approach. but business has changed over the years.
Yeah.
The marketplace has changed. The number of employees we need to change. We didn't do any marketing in the local area forever.
Yeah.
And I said, well, let's spend money in marketing. My customers on, my customers are all over the place. The Goals, Louisiana, Seattle, everywhere. So why am I spending money here? Oh, then we need to hire 200 people. I'm looking around going, nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody knows who we are at all because we had this approach to keep to ourselves. So,
But don't you feel like
wasn't
that's an offshore industry thing? Because even at OMSA, we were like, well, we don't need to have members outside of the Gulf. Why would we need that? Well, then
all of a sudden you do.
all of a sudden, not only do we need, but then people on the East Coast and West Coast are asking us for advice, and we're like, of course, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just it hits you like
It's
that.
been a common theme that we've had on the podcast with a bunch of the mariners and some people in the supply chain, where we've basically lucked in to really good talent. And that's on us as an industry about not encouraging that and not cultivating that in explaining to people what a good future we can provide here for people. Because we just keep like, oh, great. Well, it just happened. Someone happened to read something in the newspaper and became a worthwhile, great asset for our industry for 30 years.
Yeah.
We shouldn't get dumb luck into great talent.
No,
So,
sure.
but you said you've grown, and that's, anyone who's been reading the news about Master Boat has seen some great growth. So talk about that.
So we employee count wise over the last, I guess, 2.5 years, we doubled in size. For years we ran about 150 people we were delivering 6 supply boats a year. During from 2000, 2001, 2014, October 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all remember those bad days?
I do.
We were delivering 4 to 6 supply boats a year, anyway, 145 feet to 200 feet.
I can see them.
The 644 vessels for out in LA and the Shane bought them and get the boats kind of spread out all over the place now. But we were 150, 200 employees at that height. And then when oil industry happened to 15, I still think we're the last contract signed for a supply boat in the U.S. was our contract with Seacorp. We signed in 2040. I don't think a supply boat could have built a new construction supply boat in the U.S. I know some built Brazil and overseas, but a new contract has not been signed since that one in 2014 that we delivered in 2018 at best, and up to 20. We'll do it in a couple of years because of the marketplace. So state of the industry from a new construction side of things is not that great now. So what that forced us to do was look at other market segments. So the 15, 16, we really started to hit the ground running and trying to find other work. And through some relationships with existing customers, the tugboat market was where we wanted to be. You look at the tugboat market today, I still think it's the most sustainable commercial shipbuilding market out there. A bunch of different reasons of new ships being built in Korea, the green approach overseas, new LNG ships, bigger container ships, 15,000 TD container ships being built requires larger horsepower, larger board tugs. And to be frank, our tugboat fleet is extremely old and very capitalized.
Yes.
So all those factors, we kind of dove in and built some process around, got a couple of good contracts. Learned as we went how to build tugs because it's a different approach than building supply boats. To be frank, it's much more difficult for the supply boats you're building. So it took more people, and just as the contracts grew, we needed more people. We expanded. So we're at roughly 450 employees today. That's amazing. But we're at 200.
Wow.
22 years ago.
Why is it harder? I would think it would be easier.
So
it's a smaller vessel. It's inland.
Exactly. Smaller. So
you got to fill that.
How many people can fit in one space?
You're right.
And so every inch matters as well. So if you say it was a supply boat, obviously we did things old school, fuel fill pipe. We'd say, put the pump right there. And they would say, okay, put it right there. And you put it there, no problem. You miss about an inch, no big deal. On a tugboat, you miss about an inch, it hits something else, and something else, and something else. And the sequencing of people, it just becomes more difficult, smaller spaces you have. So, but that's where we're at now, building a lot of tugs and have a lot of people. Find more people we have anyway.
Well, and that is great. And, saw late last year, y'all announced a footprint, an expansion of footprint. And that was great to see because, I really haven't seen in terms of new shipyards or expanding shipyards, I haven't seen it recently. So it's great to see y'all expanding, growing, getting more capacity into the U.S. market. What can you talk about that process? What made you, what pushed you to that decision to grow And then why you don't see other people grow? So right now, like, if you're not excited, if you're a shipbuilder and you're not excited about shipbuilding right now, yeah, everyone would be. Right. This is a generational period of time we're in from, I guess, January 2025 until who knows how long it's going to go. But the president has made it very clear that we need to revitalize shipbuilding in the United States. Yeah. I hate when you said that because I think that the shipbuilding industry has been solid for a while. I think the shipbuilding
it diminishes what y'all are doing.
It does to an extent, but there's also a part of that says we need to build and we need to build fast and we need to build better. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think from the shipbuilder's perspective, we can take some lessons learned and some things and say, yeah, we can do more potentially. We can do things a little differently. But a lot of that comes down to the customer. The government being the customer for a lot of things has put us in a place where we're at today. From the Navy acquisition, Coast Guard acquisition side. So, but right now, like shipbuilding, like the president talked about it in the joint session of Congress. So the executive order about it. New maritime vaccine plans come out next week. We'll have a ton of things about it. Ships Act was out there. So there's a lot of energy behind shipbuilding right now. And that's something that's exciting. So, from an investor side of things, the shipbuilding business is extremely capital intensive. Yeah, very few other businesses have had as much CapEx required and continue CapEx every single year to maintain capacity, but also create new capacity. Mm-hmm. And so we look at this today from our expansion. We want to continue to grow. We have a solid foot in the commercial market and in the niche market we're into that. But we want to continue to grow in other sectors of the market. So government shipbuilding is the place that we've been trying to get into and looking at the right programs that make sense for us over the last 4 or 5 years. Haven't found the right one yet. But right now, with the One Big Beautiful Bill, roughly $48 billion, and government shipbuilding money has been appropriated already. It's unheard of, unbelievable. The fact that that's out there is not just talking about, 5-year shipbuilding plan. We're talking about appropriated dollars for programs that are in place. So that's real. Whether it comes tomorrow or it comes a year from now, that money's being spent within 4 years. So we're looking at saying, how can we invest? Like, how can we create the capacity? The president says we need shipyards to step up. We need shipyards to partner with the Navy to provide ships for the warfighter to come home quicker and safer. And we need that now. And we're saying, okay, we're ready, answering the call to go to work when he needs to. So part of that is adding capacity. And so we want to add capacity, whether it be for the prime contract for the Navy, the prime Coast Guard, to subcontract something from Tier 1 yard, to modules from Tier 1 yard, however we can fit into that equation to add the capacity needed for the government shipbuilding sector. So that's where we're at today, starting that project hopefully in the next 4 or 5 months. Well, that is great.
Has any of that money been put into actual projects yet?
It is started building. Yes.
The 48.
Yeah, it is starting.
I'm just curious.
You saw our security code has been awarded, FRCs, some of the money from that, and also some about 25 money, but that's been awarded. You've got some Navy projects have been added all the time. So it's being spent now. It's not as fast as
but
we
it's
hoped
being
it to be.
spent, so it's being,
It's not as fast.
The buoy tenders have been awarded too, haven't they?
WCC? Yeah. The one with Commerce? Yeah, those got awarded through typical appropriation money. Okay. Big Beautiful Bill money has been coming, but
you can't not giggle when you say it.
The official name is the One Big Beautiful Bill.
Excuse me. I keep calling it reconciliation bill, but
BBB. Oh, triple B.
But the money is not coming as fast as what some of us would want it to come. Yeah. And this is part of the dilemma, right? The government and the president, White House says, and Secretary of War has really done a good job of this. I was talking about speed. We need to build the Navy to speed up. We need to do it fast. How do we do that? The string of shipbuilding is this term out there right now that is an interesting concept. And I think it works in some situations, but they're saying we need to go fast and we do this and money's there, but the Navy and Coast Guard got to figure out how to spend that money. Yeah. The acquisition approach for so long has been this way. And an overnight, here's $50 billion. Go spend it now. How do we do that? And get a product out. And get a real product out of this. Yes. And do it. Oh, by the way, do it smart. Don't screw up, right? You got all the money. You can't screw up and never get it again. And so,
shouldn't the Coast Guard and the Navy rely on the experts to help provide a lot of that?
That is the intent.
Well, and you have the distributive model has been very interesting.
in the project construction model, which was kind of first used on the training vessels, and proved very successful. And so I see the distributed model builds upon that. And you've been on the vanguard of pushing that model. Yeah. So talk about kind of what you all have done, Masterboat, about the distributive or the strategic partnership model.
So the couple of ways of government acquisition. One's prime contract through a shipyard, which is a traditional way of doing things.
Yeah.
It's slow.
It's what everybody
understands it is today.
Yeah.
The VCM model, the vessel construction management model, which is what Philly Shipyard used on the training vessels, was the VCM. And that was more of a commercial contract between the VCM, who's the prime, and the shipyard. Very commercial. And the way they managed that program to the MARAD was incredible. They did a really good job of it. The vessels came out cheaper, closer to downtime. So all the good things come from that. A shipyard like ours, who has been commercial forever, it's all we know is commercial. Right. Everything we build ABS class, so we build to a certain standard that meets the government standards. But jumping into a prime contract as a prime, and the way that the government has run acquisition for a long time is pretty risky.
Yes.
And you look around the Gulf Coast and there's some yards that made that big leap and have struggled with it. And not of their own fault, right? There are some very, very extremely competent yards that we have competed with for a long time. Extremely competent.
They were built for industry.
Built for industry and done a damn good job of it for a long time. I've got in government programs and they struggle.
Yes.
It's a different approach of doing things. And that's what's got to be changed. Right. And I think that's where we see the VCM model can help with that. I jumped into a government contract with Coast Guard or Navy, whoever it is, with a partner at VCM that can take on some of the overnight change in the way you do business. And it's a way for us to do it safely. It's less risky for the government. It's less risky for us. Similar approach, our MOU with Offshore right now, that we're into some work with them. It's a similar approach to that on these landing crafts that we'll be building them soon. We're able to ease into this government shipbuilding thing without having as much risk like some of our competitors have done in the past. And so from a government standpoint, it's less risky. It creates capacity while not having the full risk of just getting overwhelmed with the government acquisition model that we have in the past.
And you get the experience, you know what you're stepping into for further. That's
it makes sense. So medium-sized shipyards have to be, if we want to get to a 355 ship rating, if we want to get the speed of the Second War asked for, medium and small shipyards have to do hard that.
Well,
no other way around.
Exactly. And you look at the needs of a modern fleet. Sure, we need new battleships, but we have, and look, I think, a major nation state versus major nation state, I believe is we could see a conflict like that within our lifetime. But I think we're also going to see a lot of asymmetric warfare and a lot of other different types of conflict. And they need a more diversified fleet, a smaller fleet. And I think you're also seeing governments starting to understand that. Coast Guard said, hey, look, domestic industry, commercial industry has a bunch of very capable assets. Maybe we should have some of those. And so I'm liking what you're seeing and liking what you're seeing there. But I still, when I start looking for clips for Friday Fast Facts for OMSA members, every week I see articles talking about the demise of U.S. shipbuilding or how U.S. shipbuilding, it kind of seems like that's people inside the Beltway or people that only understand a few commercial yards and don't understand what has actually been happening here in the Gulf Coast or in the Pacific Northwest. Can you talk about that? Do you see
unfortunately a false narrative about commercial about shipbuilding in general in the U.S. being no capacity in the United States, especially ship repair. It's terrible that the false narrative out there about ship repair right now, and the U.S. ship repair industry doesn't have the availabilities needed to maintain the Navy's fleet. Not true at all.
Yeah.
The Navy could plan a little better, right? And things could happen smoother and guarantee some slots. And the ship repair capacity is there. The new construction ship capacity is 100% there for the demand signal can give it.
Right.
So when I said earlier, the shipbuilding industry is extremely capital intensive. If you give us an advanced signal here, we're going to build to here. If you give us an advanced signal to here, we're going to create the capacity to build there, as we always have. And with the problem is the comparisons that are made. Look at shipbuilding today versus what it was post World War II or the Liberty ships. And let's talk about the Liberty ships. They say we build what was it, one a day, something crazy like that. An insane amount of Liberty ships were built, right? And that's awesome. And could we do that again? I think we can do that again. Yeah. You want the boat to float?
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but when Liberty ship served a purpose in World War II, it was great. It was an unbelievable asset. But no sailor today is getting on that Liberty ship going to sea with. Yeah, because it was put together in weeks, right? And
it also didn't have all the regulations on it that any vessel
would not accept that today.
Right.
Oh yeah, I was asked a question a few years ago in a panel of Garrett, the Navy came to you tomorrow at time of war and said, "We need to stop what you're doing and build Atlantic faster today." What would you say? So, of course, let's do it. Yeah, I'm ready to go. We want to answer the call. We want to be ready to support the Navy and the country wherever we can in our industry. However, you're going to have to lower the expectation overnight. Yeah. Right. If you want us to meet all the defaults and all the things and expect us to do that, and you come to us right now and say, go tomorrow and meet all that stuff, we're not going to do it. So it takes some time to build into that standard. So you have to lower the standard a little bit, not lower the standard beyond anything that's safe and great quality. Bring it down to more commercial standard. But if you want us to build that many Navy ships and that many government ships, compare us to Liberty ship days. Like you can't do that with the regulations and the oversight that's there.
Well, I think you saw that on the Navajo class. I mean, the Navajo class is an MPSV. And in fact, it's not even.
I can handle it to an extent.
Yeah, it's the Chevy of the industries, right? Cadillac of MPSVs. So that was a great example of how government shipbuilding can.
He's very proud of himself on that one.
I've used this before. I was not very proud of it. Stop. This is back to working with family. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
so
we have these models that we can follow, and we can do that. You're exactly right on that front. So I'm glad to hear people that understand. And I think, again, like I was saying before, we need to do a better job in industry of touting ourselves and not thinking that people will find us.
Right. I mean, I hate, we can top it off, and I hate the fact that in order to get the energy behind shit that we have right now, it took us kind of taking on a chin for a while and saying, you're not cutting the mustard. You're not doing this, and we're going to do it. We need this to recapitalize, revitalize shipbuilding. We've been doing that kind of shit for a long time now. Personally, our company, we delivered in the last 5 years, 6 years, 32 vessels in 6 years. Wow. Something like that. We're 5 to 6 a year. We increased our capacity from 6 boats a year to 8 boats a year. Doesn't seem like a lot. It's a couple 100,000 man hours a year for a small, 200, 300 person shipyard. So there are yards all over the place that are doing the same thing. I mean, we're doing good work. You compare us to Korea, right? Who's putting out 300 tankers and container ships a year, right? That's great. Are they making money? No. Are they doing government support, government subsidies? Yes. Right? Are they building the same quality that we're building here? No. I mean, there's so many comparisons that are being made all over the place that is not fair to those.
And unfortunately, to your point about market signals, we have given every other shipbuilding nation market signals that the U.S. domestic market is a market for them.
Right.
There are dozens of Chinese-built vessels working on U.S. waters, dozens of Korean-built vessels working in U.S. waters. And so to your point earlier, if you align those market signals and you give commercial industry the signal that, hey, you need to be building in the U.S., I think we see more development.
Yeah, and that's one segment right now. We're hearing, the Ships Act last year was awesome bill to be put forward that created a lot of great ideas. I don't think it's going to pass as written. Nobody in the room would say that. If you do, you're not really in tune to what's going on, but I think a lot of people would. Yeah, maybe. There's a lot of aspects of the Ships Act that are great. Yeah, try to spur on shipbuilding, commercial shipbuilding in particular, because the commercial, if we want to get to the Navy that sector, well, what's the president wants us to have, and as fast as you have it, the commercial shipbuilding industry is the backbone of that. Yeah. Right. If you don't have yards like us continuing to build commercial ships long term, the Navy doesn't build that as the needs arise over a generation.
Always has.
So the commercial shipbuilding industry has been the backbone of shipbuilding for decades, or more than that, since World War II. We're out building commercial ships. You have nothing to lean on when we do need to ramp up like we're doing right now. Yeah, right. It's commercial. If the Jones Act wasn't a thing, our shipyard wouldn't be in place. We wouldn't be talking about expanding to build for the Navy to increase the speed of Navy and Coast Guard assets being out there. Like it's a case study on the benefit of the Jones Act and why it exists for so long. Because now we can scale
but we can't invest because we have that industrial basis there. We need to grow the industrial base, make it scale larger for the baseline of it, but the gym doesn't allow that. So the comparisons all over the place just don't make any sense to me.
But and also they're going to compare things. I just find it funny when they say, let's help the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Coast Guard or whatever, or let's use our domestic, but they're using foreign shipyards to build all the stuff.
You went there, didn't you?
Yeah. So we'll talk
That's
about
what I'm
that.
here for. I'm here for all the hard-hitting questions.
But can we see the hard-hitting motion in that again?
Listen.
Yeah.
I've been lifting my weights. It's all the logical stuff. Like make it make sense when this kind of stuff and I hate that we can't have these conversations. Or we can have these conversations, but you can't have these conversations with some politicians or in certain rooms. It's not a horrible thing to say out loud. It's a practical thing.
It is. And
it's awkward.
That was in the room that the president decided that it was best to partner with Finland to build some AUKUS security icebreakers. Yeah. 100% respect the president's position to do so, and authority to do so, and it's how to do so, and that's the way it is.
But I don't trust foreign companies to build something for us.
As a shipbuilder here in the United States, we don't like it. Right. We don't think it's the best approach long term. We don't have all the. I sit here don't have all the perspective that the president has to see all the different moving parts. Sure. I know that. What I do know is that there is U.S. money sitting on the sideline waiting to invest into building. And to invest in capital when the real demand is sitting there. We have very competent, capable yards to build a fleet out and then build it fast, right? And you see this investment in the U.S. shipbuilding market from all over the world. The Canadians, the Koreans, is coming in everywhere. Australians is here. I think that Article 14 is pretty clear about U.S. military Coast Guard ships built in U.S. yards. Mm-hmm. However, I think that it's happening.
There's also within Title 14, if you want to talk about adopting the Finnish model or making apples to apples comparisons, let's talk about a lot of those restrictions within Title 14 that don't make any sense and just add complexity and cost and make it that there's no then apples to apples comparison. And actually, if we're really talking apples to apples, let's talk about that there's no Finnish shipbuilding. There's Finnish ship finishing. They don't do much. They don't have sheet and stuff. Yeah. Croatia is Finnish ship.
And we'll see how this thing shakes out. Right? And I think that, they do build good ships all over the world. There's a lot of shipyards all over the world that build good, solid ships, just as we do.
Right.
But if they have to work under Title 14, that's the concern about it. Is that they build this thing over there and in 36 months, and they say, look what we did, and look how fast it was, look how great it was. Why aren't you doing that deal, shipyards? Well, did they have a pro of 85 people in their yard? Mm-hmm. With those started, they have the oversight, they have these things. And so we'll see. The time is now to see how the government responds in the oversight of acquisitions and on the surface ship side. And I've seen a lot of positive changes. I've had conversations, could have started with the Navy, a lot of positive changes that are coming, which is extremely encouraging that they're asking for something and they're also making some significant changes to allow industry to get there. Yeah. This is not uncommon for government to ask for something and then not give us the tools to do it and then hold us accountable for it. And that can't happen. And I think that we're seeing the Coast Guard in particular is using different FARs to manage acquisition contracts. The Navy's looking at DCMs. There's a ton of conversation this week, right now, today. Happening.
Well, conversation is good, so just keep it going.
Conversation is one thing, action is another.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And so a lot of great conversations in the next 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, we're going to see what kind of action results from it. And if it goes away, I'm hoping it does. I think it could be incredible for the shipbuilding industry and the maritime industrial base as a whole. But we do need to keep shipbuilding in. Government shipbuilding needs to stay on.
I agree.
Well, government and commercial, yes.
And commercial.
Again, mine was from a safety standpoint. I just don't want them touching our stuff when we need it. Just like.
So, and kind of, I love your perspective there and love what you're hearing that you're seeing some of these, that we're getting some of the red tape out of the way on the commercial side. Definitely need to see that also, or on the government side, we need to see it on the commercial side as well, and some of the regulatory reform we've been pushing, and I know Shipbuilders Council of America have been pushing
certainly necessary. I think about those, you mentioned the last U.S. built OSVs that you guys built with Secor. I can remember some just massive government problems where you had one Coast Guard inspector saying one thing. Oh man. Other Coast Guard inspector saying something else. And the delta was hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
And about 60 miles in between the two centers too. It's not like they were, the parts of the country, literally one state over. One state to say something different the other. It was crazy. And you having like, again, a Chinese yard doesn't have to deal with that. But yeah, the regulatory side of things, I'll tell you, from a regulatory standpoint, our relationship with Coast Guard has been great. Just taking some work to understand that. And a lot of times it's just, gives them get in, fight and do what they say to do. And it makes it easier sometimes. It's not always.
No.
It's not always. I know.
I can't.
You cannot do this. Right? But the reality is it's a relationship with people.
I tease. I
know, but it's a relationship with people.
Yes.
And that's part of the deal is that we have to go as industry, we have to go and look at the regulators and look at the prevention department and the Coast Guard and say, these guys are trying to do their job. Right. They're careful out there want to get somebody, right? They have fun in that.
But in the end,
that doesn't win in the long run for them or anybody. Yeah. In the end, the people trying to do the job. And as we take that approach back to them, we typically work through all these things, right? There's issues we work through. Now there are systematic problems that you guys work on and have worked on. One is the appeals process for something that prevention happens. If Sector tells me I'm getting a COI with 835 because of X, whatever this is, you didn't have a P stamp on a testing system or whatever it is on that procedure, and we don't agree, we have to appeal it to Sector Chief Prevention. She would or he would then deny it or approve it or let it go. Well, that's a couple 3 weeks before we get to that. If they deny it, then what do? We appeal to DA or Heartland District. The Heartland District. Yeah, that's right. We appeal to DA. Well, guess what? That's another 30 days response. And if they don't approve it, then not then we go to EGCOR, another 30 days. So now if I'm a vessel, I'm going to luckily if there's 30 regulations, 30 days, whether they actually turn around in that time, it depends on what's going on in the world and where the Coast Guard's helping out. That's 90-day window where I've got to make a decision, the operator, to say, I'm going to let my boat sit here, or I'm just going to give in and do what we want, whether it's right or wrong. And that really comes down to how much cost is involved. That's not right. That's not the way this thing should go. There's something that's wrong. But the local levels have the authority, the OCMI has the authority, but we got to be able to make appeals to somebody higher up in a shorter amount of time. Yeah. Because industry is counting on that. That's what you can't be calling balls and strikes 2 months later. Exactly. And so that's something that we're dealing with now, and a couple of issues that, and as an industry in our area, it's some operators we talked about how do we work through some of these things. The appeal process is just sort of.
And further to what you were saying, I have found in working with the Coast Guard and all these security plans and those things, you're absolutely right. I've found that when I have a conversation with someone and talk it through, whether I agree with what they have, at least we see eye to eye, and then next time I go to talk to them, it's easier and they help me out with the next problem and get me to the next person. So I agree with what you're saying.
It's not always.
You can remember that. Because the only time I agree with you.
But it's not always easy to do so in the heat of the moment.
You're right. You're right.
That's the hard part. That's where we struggle. I struggle with it.
No,
we got to get a boat delivered. You got to get the boat to work. They invested tens of millions of dollars in this asset, and they're looking for a return on this thing. And it's got to start making money. Otherwise, their shareholder, the board that's looking at what's going on here. I can't do it because it's at the mobile.
But that's also where your OMSA dues come in, because you can call us and we can beat that down.
Well, as you often are, right?
I'm already am.
We can
always.
We can say things that you can't.
Correct.
Your customers can't. Yeah, that's what a trade association is there for. Yeah. But and to your point about the appeals process and needing some reform, where that also comes in is then, so you go through that whole process and get the appeal. That doesn't stop. That hasn't changed the reg or anything like that. No, that's just for that one instance. That one instance. That's right. You have another inspector. That same inspector can make the same call on someone else. That's where kind of the industry-based appeal or the trade association-based appeal model needs to be more encouraged by the Coast Guard and utilized, where often the Coast, no, we only want to hear from the person involved. The Coast Guard is making the people in charge of the Coast Guard now. That's a have a soon be out with confidence and take over that. Top team is fantastic, right? He came out in a from a review. he'll be awesome. Hopefully stays there at least 3 years. Who knows, they'll want to move somewhere else, but if he's there for 3 years, we've got a great partner. Adam Harden was great.
Yes.
Great partners there. He has some good partners along the way. But I think that the folks there, and then the kicker for me is having a secretary post hard. Yes. If that role has to get approved, hopefully it's let off bill this year, approved in, that role has got to go with Sean Planky there now. You can see the direction that he's given, and he can play outside of the military world.
Exactly.
And help make decisions, help push people along to what he's seeing outside of just inside their chain of command. It's incredible what he can do, and what that position, whether Sean or somebody else, what that position can do for our industry.
It really does. And we've totally supported the creation of the position, regardless of who is in that, but authorizing that position needs to happen. You need to create that position and the undersecretaries, and having an undersecretary for industry policy to set it.
I don't understand why it's a big deal, because it helps Coast Guard. It helps them be able to do their jobs more efficiently and effectively by having someone else.
It does. And the admirals get that because they get that then in that they can get out of policy.
Correct.
You shouldn't have uniformed service members making policy, right? They are there to implement the policy, but you need civilians to set the policy. And that's what we've never had and what we need to have. It would be the same as having the United States Air Force regulating the airlines. Can you imagine how ridiculous that would happen?
It's already
that's what we have right now. So that's what we have. So we have to get division from the blue shirts or from the blue uniforms and from the civilians.
There's a real opportunity here the next year for this, and that is a game changer. Either it sets the Coast Guard up to be regulators, let them do the jobs, right? And they don't have to worry about the backlash in Congress, where they can go do the jobs, and they have to have people now in Congress and in the executive branch. So
no, totally. The best example I've thought of this was if you go through the Code of Federal Regulations, where oil and gas was specified, is dozens of different places. But now those vessels can only do those things. But if they go and work in wind, they can't do those things, even though it's the exact same thing. To go and change via the regulatory process in each one of those instances where oil and gas is mentioned, we could never get that through. But if we could just have a civilian just set a policy and say, hey, oil and gas was shorthand for offshore energy, all offshore energy types. That's where I can think where that position, we would need policy, but you're never going to have someone in uniform. You know that. No, they're not going to make some time for it. No. So it's a big opportunity that we're supportive of, obviously. And I know OMSA is, SCA is, and hopefully it gets done this year. We agree.
So you sit as vice chair for OMSA. You also are vice chair for SCA.
SCA, yeah.
Who's your favorite? OMSA or SCA?
That's a good question. Where are we going to lunch today?
Wherever you prefer.
So I have to say I'm a shipbuilder at heart, and so my.
But remember, when you were just a youngin coming into
my allegiance is to the Shipbuilders Council. Number one.
Remember when you were young and just coming around.
Matt, you're welcome.
Who held your hand and brought you to all the meetings?
But I mean, we're a shipbuilder, right? And OMSA is extremely important to me personally and our business. Number one, and I was frank, I was the first members 7, 8 years ago, and I don't know how we're doing. DC.
To come to DC, that's what I'm saying.
I was one of the first members, and I'm looking at this going like, every one of our potential customers, owner, the CEO, they are there for 2 days.
Yeah. And you can meet all the congressional staff within.
Right there together. This is a no-brainer. A sponsorship. It was a no-brainer to be a part of that, right? And then as you get to know a lot of those guys and the issues they're dealing with, the same issue that we fight for. What makes sense for an offshore operator makes sense to me. Even though I'm in the tugboat business today, we're building tugs today. Lord willing, we start doing supply boats again one day. Yeah. I mean, hopefully there's a need for that. And oil companies start getting back and say, we need more new technology. That's going to come back. And it's not just about being around them. It's about advocating for the same things. We need a strong maritime industry. To have a strong maritime industry, we need a strong shipbuilding industry. Yes, strong industrial base. And the maritime industry, it's been an awesome experience to be involved in the last 5 years in a real way, more so than it was the previous 10. It is one small but big family. Right? Everybody sees the sea seams. While we disagree with some policy here and there, from ship owners to shipyards, We definitely disagree on price of vessels and ship owners and shipyards, right? But we all have like this inner blood of good, hardworking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not many other industries where it's just the core of what we do is good, hard work. I say, well, we're recruiting people to our yard to work for us. I always say this is hard work, not easy work at all. It's either really cold or it's really daggum hot. One of the two. On the ship, never feels good on the shipyard. It's cold or hot, you're in a hole. It's hard work, but it's some of the most rewarding work that you can have. To see a ship sail, go from absolutely nothing, to see a tugboat or a ship sail away, and know that you have something to do with that, and everything. That's rewarding. And our employees say the same thing. There's very few industries who have this like camaraderie and this like brotherhood of we're all in this thing together. This is pretty special.
When we had Jeremy Bailey on with Spock, he talked about that and talked about, well, you know, with my skill set, the other opportunity I could be is I could go build data center. Like, okay, so now there's a box with a bunch of computers.
That's right.
Cool. Yeah. Or I can do some of the most fabulous, interesting stuff on a vessel you'd ever seen. I'll take the vessel. Yes, sir.
Okay, I have another hard hitting question.
Good Lord.
Okay. What do mobile people call the things that are outside their house on the water? You can fish off them. You can put a boat up to them. Okay, good.
Yes.
You don't call them wharfs.
What's the word?
Thank you.
There we go. Yes.
Wow, one mobilian. What is
People call it wharfs?
Yes,
Wharfs.
we have gotten in like fist fights with people. JK.
For mobile?
Yeah.
Yeah, call it wharfs.
Multiple people. I really have been.
They must be Baltimore County folks.
I'm like, it's not a wharf. A wharf is, I'll show the wharf. Okay. Also, last one, and then we can, Mardi Gras. Who started Mardi Gras for real?
For real, Mardi Gras started the Mobile.
Which Mardi Gras is better?
Mobile.
Oh, you did say that.
Cool. I mean, how could I not say that?
Come,
I was
you and the
in
fam.
there last night and we talked about Mardi Gras.
Okay, you and the fam
Anyway.
come down. Let us host you, although I don't think your wife would let me say to her kid.
My wife and I, just let my kid to wander on some rocks by himself.
She definitely doesn't want to see me during Mardi Gras with children. Oh, anywho, y'all are welcome. We have an apartment on St. Falls Avenue. We have a huge setup. Y'all are welcome anytime. And your wife, your lovely wife, can watch your kids.
It would be Mardi Gras, but that.
Okay.
I mean, clearly Mobile started Mardi Gras. That's
Technically,
right.
Technically,
New Orleans made Mardi Gras much larger and much
better. It's
better, which is great
and
right?
funner.
But Mobile has got a special thing. So funner is probably not a word. It's not.
It is most funner, more fun. It's I'm making fun of our girls say these things.
Angela, you haven't asked a question today. What do you got?
Well, my question, I was interested in the whole conversation, but your perception or outlook of your business when you first started, like as a kid coming in, and then how it progressed, like your understanding as you are like CEO.
Yeah, that's an insightful question.
Mine were not.
No, you're knocking a wolf.
It really is.
No, that's interesting. I was thinking about this the other day, actually. What I didn't know about a business when I was 14 years old was massive, right? My dad ran a shipyard. We build boats. What's that mean? I don't know what that means. Yeah, build boats, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got my son's 10 years old. You always come to the yard, and what's your dad do? He builds boats. Great. What kind of boats? Tugboats. Beyond that, that's it. Surface level, which is great. Which gets back to workforce development. We need to know more or gets into. We need fifth graders, fourth graders to know more about the shipbuilding industry. What does that actually mean? What does it mean to build ships? Like, they need to know more about that so we can grow the industrial base, in 10 years. We need more people at that young age. There's a lot of things happening in Mobile and Hampton Roads, a lot of places that the American industrial base is talking about that for young age. So not to digress on the question, but as I got into the business, I still didn't know a lot. I'm learning something every day. And thankfully my dad was again, had his open door policy. I was able to just soak in so much about engineering, about the legal side of things, insurance, and all the things that go into learning about a business, number one, but then a complicated business. Yeah. And shipbuilding. Yeah. What we do, it is not easy. And to see other big yards that do it so well. I'm looking at good tip. There's one that I talked often about. and how, multiple facilities, all the things, and kind of the systems the same, the process the same. So pointing to this facility, that facility, and bringing things together. It's a lot of moving parts. I mean, ship's made thousands of parts, right? And that's designed in 3D first, and then it goes here, and then do that at speed, right? So that the customer gets what they wanted. It can take a lot of risk in that. And so as I've matured, I didn't realize how much risk that has to happen, and how many decisions have to be made every single day that have risk with it. And as you're making decisions that you do it more often, you don't realize the risk as much. You just, it's inherent. You just know it's there. But you don't think about and weigh every single risk. And I think that's part of being a family-run business as well. That we, unfortunately, be able to make those decisions where at a larger company or the corporate owned shipyard, those decisions take a little longer, but they go through different risk analyses so that people can look at it. End of the day, guys, approach the office, bring you a problem, and we make a decision quick. Yeah, and that's one thing that we pride ourselves at, making quick decisions. Being extremely hands-on in our management team and making quick decisions. We're going to screw things up. People make mistakes. We're going to make bad decisions. I make bad decisions every day of the week, and I want people to tell me about it all the time. Yeah, but that's part of it. That's part of learning. Did I make the bad decision 2 days in a row? Same decision twice in a row? Shame on me. You shouldn't do that. Right? But we're so many new and fun mistakes. Exactly. Why not make it? Let's make it do it. Don't make the same one twice, right? But there's so much about the business that I didn't know, and I'm still learning today. And if I ever have any other attitude, I hope one of y'all would slap me for it, right? Other than I know it would. I'm still against you, but I know she can do it. Because if you have any other attitude or any other mindset, would not really do that. I was really used to that, and we're going to actually retreat in the opposite direction. But it just from the business side of things, like what they teach you in business school doesn't prepare you. I mean, it prepares you on how to learn. It doesn't now accounting degree was great, so in the basics of how businesses work, but thank you, financing,
insurance. Insurance is the hardest. I moved.
It's that's a soapbox I don't need to get on.
I know that's a whole nother podcast.
We moved our insurance, our risk insurance from a U.S. carrier to London. Right, that's a whole other marketplace. Thing that I didn't even. I mean, I knew Woods is there. Coming up, and knew it was there. Didn't really know what it was about though. Now we're in it. I mean, this is interesting. It's huge international insurance group, and the way that they take the cards around on the floor, and they train and they're in the stuff. It's unbelievable how this works. They do it for 500 years this way. Yeah, it's crazy. Same way. It's unbelievable the way that works with them. The amount of risk that they're taking, the amount of premiums going out of the doors there. It's unbelievable. But it works, and those are the sort of things that our industry's fascinating. Like there's so many moving parts to this. It's a hugely capital intensive, but it touches so many parts on the economy that I'm still learning ways today that we have an impact on different parts of the economy.
The groceries part is always fascinating to me. That groceries, because all these people have to be fed, all the people on the ship. I'm sure you feed your the groceries aspect of it is always fascinating to me when you look at it.
I was talking to a grocery store owner in Mobile recently, and a family friend, and they were telling us. It's asking like percentage of I don't know what percentage of sales in groceries and stuff. And she was telling me about how credit, and they had a lot of credit come out some in a grocery store. Like people don't get for the grocery. Like, can I get credit at the grocery store? Yeah, right. Like I'll pay you next month, right? Yeah. And she said, well, we do so many groceries for ship owners. Yep. And it hit me. It's like, how do you think?
Yep. We have this conversation.
Every ship that comes to Port of Call Mobile, they're fed three OMSA members for grocery.
Yep.
Right. And so every ship that comes in has to be fed. And they have a massive bill, that they deliver all the groceries to the ship. And they're gone for a month to come back and do it again. So like to your point, there's so many different parts of the industry that not only shipbuilding, but the maritime industry touches. It's a huge drive of the economy, which is why it's got to stay here with all the Jones Act. Can't go anywhere. Otherwise, that all goes away.
Yep. And while we got to keep talking about it and reminding people of all the aspects it touches, like groceries.
Yeah. Good point.
Look at me. See, I did it on something smart.
Yeah. So, you've been very generous with your time.
Yes.
Any final messages or final thoughts or?
One thing. I mean, I said it earlier, but I think that you asked a question about the shipbuilding industry. I think right now the shipbuilding industry is primed and ready to respond. Talk to the shipyard owners, talk to the shipyard managers, like the energy's there from the government side of things, the money's there, the Jones Act, shipbuilders are ready to go. And that's a false narrative out there right now about shipyards aren't ready to invest. And we are. The money, the U.S. dollar ready to invest in capacity with the demand signal is extremely clear. And we've got a pretty big demand signal from the one thing people do. But on the commercial side, it's the same way. Right. So while there's a lot of foreign investment happening now in the shipyard industry, there's also U.S. investment that's ready to go too. And so the narrative of we've got to let the Koreans we have to depend on the Koreans to do this. We have to depend on the Koreans to do this. If they're there, it's an open marketplace and we'll compete. But the U.S. owners and U.S. Equity is here to expand and meet the capacity of whatever what is there. And anything to the contrary to that the U.S. can't meet the capacity of shipbuilding is absolutely false. And so I think that's a takeaway that is not said enough.
I like that. That is a great final note, and I completely agree. Yeah, and I like the way you put it. You tell us the demand signal, we'll build to that demand signal. Knowing us, we'll probably overbuild that signal.
No, not the goal.
Never. I like the overbuilding. There's nothing wrong with overbuilding. Overbuilding the market and hosting conferences. That's what the maritime industry does. No, but I like where your head's at. Thank you so much for joining us today.
That was fun.
Appreciate it. Always curious to talk to you.
Too bad.
Yeah, so you were nice today.
I know.
Thank you, and we'll hope you join in again next week.
That wraps up another episode of Maritime in America. We're proud to highlight the voices and stories that keep the American offshore industry strong. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us, and remember, the course ahead is shaped by those who step up and steer it. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your crew. Tune in every Friday for your offshore briefing, and don't miss our next full episode, dropping soon with the very special guest's mariner's perspective. Catch you next time.